Hello, everybody. We are here for Tuesday Talks today, and today I have an amazing soul called Jacquie Bird. Now, Jacquie Bird is a sound practitioner, a guided meditation maven. I don't even know what that means, so maybe we'll get Jacquie to expand on that. Mindfulness guide, magical pixie dust girl. I'm more excited about that. And a artisan. So once Jacquie comes along here, we will ask her what is the guided meditation maven means, and a bit more about the pixie dust as well. And let's get Jacquie on here. How are you doing today, Jacquie?
I'm good, thank you. How you doing?
I am fantastic. Thank you very much for asking. Thank you very much for coming on to Tuesday Talks and share your journey. I've done a short introduction for you already. I don't know if you got to hear it or not.
I did it.
There were a
I
couple of questions.
did it.
Oh no, but there were a couple of questions in there as well because I really wanted to know what the in your introduction when it says you're a meditation, is it maven? How do you say it?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
okay.
guided meditation maven.
Yes,
Yes,
that's it. We'll expand onto that and a pixie dust gal as well. So I'm like, yes, we're gonna talk about that as well.
magical pixie dust gal,
That's it. That's
magical.
it. That's it. My bad. My bad. Magical pixie dust. That's it. We'll expand onto that as well. So I've done your short introduction there already, but you're the best person to expand onto that and let us know, who you are, what you do, and the biggest question that will kickstart everything here now will be like, why do you do it, Jacquie?
Well, I'm Jackie Bird, and as my intro said, that I didn't hear, but I know what it said. I consider myself, well, I'm a sound practitioner, and I work with singing bowls and gongs and all that good stuff. And I a guided meditation maven. I just, it's funny because as I was writing the description, that word popped into my head. And I thought it was really kind of cool because you don't hear the word maven that much. But, maven is somebody who has wisdom, usually a woman, older. And I just like that. So I was like, yeah, that sounds good. And then Magical Pixie Dust Gal, I I'm a kid. What can I say? I'm a kid in an adult body. Matter of fact, somebody said that. So one of my exes said that to me that I was a grown person. I was a kid in a grown person's body. So children to me are magic. They maintain this curiosity about the world and about everything around them, and they see the way they see the world is just so wonderful and beautiful and magical. And we kind of lose that as we become adults with bills. But I've managed to hold on to that. And so, magical pixie dust gal. And plus, I think I can do anything. So, that's the other part of it. When you feel magical, you understand how the universe works, and you understand how thoughts work, and that your attitude and your perspective is everything. So that's why.
Wow. Okay. I mean, that's an amazing to hear. And I love the fact that you mentioned that bills over there, and I agree with you 100%. Because I'm sometimes considered a bit more immature. Because that's the word they love to use when you're playful. I like to say I'm
Yeah.
playful. I'm playful. But certain crowds will say, "Oh, you're immature," I just like, "Oh no, I get amused very easily." I get excited very easily. So you can just show me
Yeah.
something which has I don't know, neon lights. Somebody will be like, "Oh wow, neon lights," and they'll be like, "Yeah, they're just
Yeah.
lights." I'm like, "Well, yeah, but I want to be excited about it because neon lights." I love that, and that energy also brings the feeling of that you are able to do anything, right?
Yeah.
And it's there, and I love that you mentioned that as well. So the question comes again, like, so why are you doing it? In terms, obviously, you're teaching all this and you're helping others with it. So what's the reason behind it? Why?
Oh, I'm kind of filtering through my mind in terms of, okay, which answer do I give first? Because there's no
Sure.
one answer. Able to get myself into a place that I had forgotten about. I had forgotten about that fun-loving, ridiculously silly girl. I had lost touch with her. I had gotten so bogged down with the current, at that time, crisis that was going on. And I'm suffering. My health was suffering. My body was suffering. And plus I was driving my partner crazy. So you know, kind of like get to a point when you get on your own nerves. It's like you get on your own nerves, and you can either keep doing that, or you can go, okay, I know I have the tools to turn this around, and I need to start using them. So that's like the short answer of the how I began to delve into wellness and spiritual wellness and all of that stuff, was because I needed it. And while I knew like tons of people and had access to people that could do it, I knew I had to do it for myself and discover what riches lie beneath. So that's the short answer of one answer.
I love that journey. In terms of it was to do all that obviously for yourself first, right?
Yeah.
And you, what I heard was like you kind of knew the answers, right? You already
Yeah,
had them,
I
but
already had them. I
yeah,
was always, my entire life, I was always the person people came to for advice. My entire life. So, like at one point a friend teased me. She said, you need to hang out a shingle and say that the doctor is in, because it just was always a natural thing that people would gravitate to me and ask me my opinion. What do you think about this? But I needed to like help me, you know.
I completely understand there, isn't it? It's like I always think of the metaphor like who cuts the hairdresser's hair because the hairdresser's cutting everybody's hair, everybody else's hair, so who's cutting that person's hair, right?
Yes.
It's,
Yes.
I mean, they probably can trim it, bring it forward and trim it, but if you want to style it, who does that? They have to
Right.
obviously reach out to others and work it for themselves and do that. So it's a great journey to hear that, right? So whilst you've been doing that, I'm sure like everybody, you had your ups and downs and
For
pivotal
sure.
moments.
For
Um,
sure.
what was else if you wanted to share? What was your I'll say the question would be the pivotal moment that just got you now to say, okay, this is what I am
Mm.
gonna now do and
Mm.
announce it to the world, right? Here's doctors in the house sign.
That's a really awesome question. Particularly since I've done so many things in my lifetime to date, and I had all of these things in which to pull from. So prior to, I'm going to answer that question, but I'm just back up a little bit.
Yeah, no
Prior
worries.
to what I'm currently doing, I was a performer. I, performed on Broadway and TV and film and did all that stuff. And then, as I told you, I've toured around the world, and um, I've had various businesses, because once I left the industry, I had to figure out who I was, and I had to figure out what I wanted to say. And it took a long time figuring that out. And dabbling in a lot of things. I had a knitting business. I had a greeting card business. I had an e-card business. I had, all of these things. But when that crisis occurred, I began to um, understand more of my place in the world, more of how I wanted to express what I know. And, it's like when you touch upon your path, so to speak, you just know. There's no question. You just internally, this is where I want to go, because you end up spending more time doing it. Like I always tell people, if they're trying to figure out where they want to go, well, think about what you could spend 24 hours a day doing and not realize that time has gone by. When you can lock into what that is, and time, is not anything for you, then you've got it.
Mhm.
And as I told you, I was working on just getting myself calmer. And in that journey, I began to discover some things, and I began to take the gifts I already had and use them. So, I'm a writer, so that came into play. I'm a singer, that came into play. Um, so and I love the sound of polyphonic instruments. So I started delving more into polyphonic instruments and buying instruments, and then I started creating music. And before I knew it, I had all of these things going, ebooks and audiobooks and videos and all of this stuff. So, you by that point you go, oh yeah, this is what I want to do.
That's an amazing share there. Like and well, what are the polyphonic instruments as well for the audience who are not aware of musical genres and instruments?
Polyphonic instruments are instruments that have many sounds. So, like a singing bowl, when you hear a singing bowl, you're not just listening with your ears, you're listening with every cell in your body, because there are all these overtones. And there are overtones all the time, but our ears don't pick them up.
Mhm.
But with these type of instruments, the polyphonics, it makes it a little easier for you to hear all these different layers within. And in my journey with those instruments, I began to get more handmade instruments. I began to meet people that created these types of instruments. From your Native American flutes to, as I said, singing bowls, your gongs.
Mhm.
I have a harp bowl. The
Oh,
didgeridoo, which I can't play yet. You just I have something called an mbira, which is an African instrument. The, you just There's something about those sounds. So poly meaning many, phonic sound. That's what polyphonic instruments are.
interesting. That's quite interesting to know. And the journey that you've shared, obviously, is brought you to where you are now. All these skills that you've learned along the way,
Right.
all the things that you also performed and did,
Hmm.
brings you to where you are now. And if you haven't gone through that, you'll be maybe still in the same place, but a different person,
Absolutely.
right? It's still in the same
Absolutely.
place, but in a different form. Maybe you might not have polyphonic instruments. You might have instruments, but not polyphonic instruments.
Yeah.
That's what I'm also hearing. So for the audience who's listening to it, it's what I heard there was your journey matters to where you are now. So when you're here, so even though we are working with here and now, because a lot of time you hear everybody say, well, you are here now, work with here and now, which is
Hmm.
great, but that here and now is all so dependent on that what you've been doing through the past, so we shouldn't let go of it completely, right? So all the goods and the bad, and
Right.
especially the bad as well, right? Because the bad has what formed you to be here and do what you need to do now, right? The goods are
Absolutely.
are great. You celebrate them. It maybe catapults you a bit more forward, ahead
Hmm.
of where you need to be. But the bads are the ones which actually make you stronger and also teach you what you need to be looking into. And when you now come out of that, right? That's
Hmm.
when you are here now and you're like, yes, this is where I am now, thanks to all this that I've
Yes.
learned, and I'm moving forward with what I've got in this box of mine that I've been collecting
Absolutely.
things, right? So
Absolutely.
that's what I've been hearing, is that sums it up correct, or?
I absolutely. I mean, it's kind of funny. You don't really grow from the good times. You grow from the pain. you know, the pain and the stuff that we term as bad. Those are the things that push you out of your comfort zone, and they urge you to broaden your perspective. When things are good, things are good. You're riding that boat, oh, this is great, this is great. But when things are painful, you can either stay there, or you can go, okay, this is not cool. I'm not happy with this. I'm not comfortable. What can I do to change it? Or maybe I need to leave it, or maybe I need to accept it. But it's all about growth. It's all about growth. This lifetime is all about growth. It's about growth, learning, and sharing what you know.
Definitely, definitely, I 100% agree there. And as well as you were just saying that, that the pain is where we actually grow from and do things, 100%. A thought came in my mind is pain when you are in those situations. Let's not even use the word pain. Let's say if you are in any challenging situation,
Mm-hmm.
right? So because it's a challenge, right? I always
Yeah.
think if there's no struggles in life, I've removed that word from my vocabulary. It never appears anymore
Okay.
because
Okay.
there's no struggles anymore. It's only challenges. And
Yeah.
what does challenge presents you? Challenge presents you to be creative, to come up with a
Absolutely.
solution. So
Yes.
when
But
you are
you
somewhere,
said
you
the
need to be
key.
creative.
You
Yes.
said the key is come up with a solution. And that's what all of these years continue to teach me is you can get, and it's funny because I'm getting ready to put a post up later today that deals just with this same thing of problems and solutions. It's so funny. It's in the queue. It's ready to be posted. But because it's like we can, like, I've had periods of depression. I've had a nervous breakdown. You name it, I've been there. And I know that all of those situations that I've experienced, for one thing, I can say to somebody, I know what you're going through. I think that had I not experienced any of these things, it would just be all clinical. I read the book, and you prescribe this, so you do that. But because I have experienced these things, I can honestly say I know what you're going through, and this is what I can suggest to you. This is what I can share to you if you want to change that, how you
Mm,
feel about it. You can't change what happened, but you can change how you feel about it. And that's that perspective thing. You want to keep looking at it. That shouldn't have happened. Oh, that's terrible. And that's where you stay. And there's no growth. You could say, oh, this is what happened. It hurt, but this is what I learned from it. This is where I'm going to go with it. So what you're saying about the solution, there, like, here's the problem and here's the solution. It's just the other side. And so where are you looking? And it
I agree.
sounds simple. It sounds simple, and it actually is.
And I was about to say that when you said it sounds simple, and it is simple, but what as we do as humans, we when there are certain things which are simple, we just disregard it. We don't look at it. We never
We
look
don't
at
honor
we.
it.
Yeah, we like it cannot be that simple. Well, it is.
Yeah.
Why not just do
Yeah.
it? And now a lot of my ethics is now. Um, and it's synchronicity here. I was just thinking of when you were mentioning depression, and it's just earlier, also about 4 hours ago. I just had a conversation with somebody as well, and the depression had popped up,
Mm.
and because we both went through it, depression as well. I've been through it twice, and he's been through a serious one that he was suicidal with it. And
Yep. Same here.
yeah, I was like, I had it twice, so I was suicidal
Yeah.
twice myself, and thank God that one time, when I was 16, that happened, and my one of my friend recognized it and kind of diverted me into thinking other things, and brought me
Right.
back. And
Right.
second time happened again, but because I had the insight of the previous one, I recognized it this time,
Right.
and I was like, right, I need to take the step back, and that's what my solution was: take the step back. You
Right.
know, it's because when you're in it, you're not looking at the solution, and that's where the simplicity comes in. You just need
Yeah.
to simplify everything, and that's my work ethics now and life ethics, is to keep everything simple. I do not like to
Mhm.
overcomplicate anything. You know, if there are complications, you know, that's a challenge now, right? Okay, why is this presenting me a challenge? And if I come
Right.
across a challenge in whatever I'm doing, I already go into growth mindset straight away. I say, okay, there's a lesson here, and
Mhm.
I am leveling up. That means I've reached to
Right.
my potential. I've reached my potential from what I knew already. Now this is going to
Mhm.
teach me something new. I'm ready for level two.
Exactly.
And then level two will take me until when the level three starts. And then I'll be like, okay, this is a challenge, because I'm going to use everything I've learned once I overcome that challenge and continue creating everything which is should be simplicity for me,
Mhm.
and then go for it. I've made a lot of changes in my life in the past 3 years. Even to making decisions that I need to make. I've removed, even when I don't know if you notice, I'm always in black or white clothing. So very rarely that I have anything else, because then I don't have to think of what shirt to wear. What do I wear today? Well, I only have a choice of black and white, and then and black and white now rotates, right? So August is black. So if I'm coming for my Tuesday talks, most of the August Tuesday talks will be in black. July was white. So it's sort of rolling
Okay.
that way. Anything I'm doing out there will be just white t-shirts, or summer now anyway, and winter time will become black and gray. And that's it,
Okay.
simple as that. So I don't need to overcomplicate those
Mhm.
decision making skills. They're simple there. And a lot of people do spend time. I used to be one of them that did all these things, but I'm like, for what? What am I doing this for?
Now
I need to be happy with it.
that's a good point. What am I doing this for? Most of us are on autopilot. We just do stuff. We don't stop to ask that question. What am I doing this for? What am I saying this for? Why am I writing this? We don't stop for that split second to ask that question, because it's like the through this journey of mine, what I've realized is that your intention is everything. And your intention doesn't mean that somebody else is going to get it. It doesn't matter. What matters is what is your intention. And as long as you understand what that is, whether another person gets it or not is not the point. Because somebody will get it, you know? So, in that thing of simplicity, that comes with being clear about your intention. If we were talking about challenges earlier, and I'm going through a challenge now with a family member, and it's what I said the other day to a friend is this person is on the factory reset. Like all of the stuff that has occurred between last year and now, I thought would have shifted some thinking process with this person, but they went back to the factory reset.
Oh no.
And so it becomes a question for me of, okay, you see that this is what this is. And if you want to repeat how things went last year with this person, you'll
Mm.
do just what you did last year. So again, it comes to intention. What is your intention? What is it that you want? And I
Yeah,
want
yeah.
peace. I want flow. I want joy. And this person wants to do what they want to do. So, like you can go, I'm gonna jump in and I'm gonna help you as much as I can for them to just throw it back in your face. But you can't be mad because you made that choice. That was your intention. I'm gonna help them regardless of whether or not they will allow it or whether they will accept it. I'm gonna do it anyway. And you go, well, that was my intention. Or your intention is, I see what's happening. That's the same thing that happened. I didn't like how that resulted. So I think I'm going to do something different. because the intention is peace for you.
Mm-hmm.
So that is also part of the simplicity. The more clear you become about what it is you want in your life, and it changes, one week you can say I want this, the next week you can say I want something else. It's all good, because sometimes you can say I want one thing, and then as things get clearer, you realize, maybe I don't want that, or oh, maybe I want to add something to it. We always have that option, but it still starts with the intention. If you want things to be simple, then you're going to strip down. You're going to strip things out, and maybe people you're going to strip out of your life because they end up complicating the situation. So a lot of what I talk about in my posts, in all of my products, is getting clear. I find that from my own personal journey, the clearer I have become at different points in my life, the better things have flowed for me, and the better I have felt. Because when it's all said and done, it's about how you feel. Because when you're cranky, that's what you're going to give out. That's the vibe you're going to flow with, the cranky vibe. I'm irritated and I'm mad and can't stand that people are getting theirs and I'm not getting mine, whatever. All of those thoughts, they all are a continuum. But when you are in a place of peace, and it doesn't mean that you don't have moments where you want to punch somebody or you get angry or annoyed. It doesn't mean that. It just means that the overall tone of your life is whatever it is that you see it and you wish to create it to be. That's what spiritual wellness is to me.
I love that, and it's you share that so beautifully in terms of the spiritual wellness. 100%, and I was resonating with that for myself as well, because I've gone through, when I talk about pandemic, I
Mhm.
understand there's been lots of ups and downs, and it hasn't been
Yeah.
that great for a lot of people. But for me, it turned out to be a blessing in a way, because I got to, even though I was one of the fortunate ones who was able to work from home, and all those sorts of stuff. But that allowed me to, what I wanted to do was go on a journey that I wanted to go on, that I always say, oh, I don't have the time for. I would love to do this. I want to learn more. I want to expand my mind. And I took it pandemic as like, universe going, here you go. There's a time now. What you want to do? And I was like, wow. And this is what I just heard from you as well. It's a case of recognizing, like, okay, I've been given a chance, right? Do I continue repeating that I was doing, like
Right.
switch off completely and just maybe watch and lay about because I've got nothing
Right.
else happening. Yeah,
Right.
I've got a job. I just need to sit in front of a monitor and have some meetings there, and I can do that.
Mhm.
But I was able to uh, take back about at least 4 to 5 hours of traveling to back and from work,
Right.
right? So I have that
Right.
5 hours, let's say 4 to 5 hours extra spare in my hands. What do I do? I was like,
Wow.
yes, this is the time. Go into self-discovery journey, and then I found out a lot of things that I was doing by default had names,
Mm.
but had names, right? So like, oh, you've been doing this, you've been doing that, so like, oh wow, okay, I didn't know. I was just doing it because it felt
Yeah.
right to me, and this is how I did things. And there was places a certain way I was manifesting certain things. I'm like, oh no, this is I've been doing since I was a kid because I really, and at that point, maybe I wanted a lollipop at that point, and then I wanted a TV, so these things, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, it's just came to this, but it's the realization of how you want to be in what kind of vibration. And now,
Yeah.
I am a completely different person now at the moment. If somebody
Mhm.
meets from my, I'll say 20 years ago, person meets me today, they would not recognize me. So that I have changed that one, and that's what I
Yeah.
wanted to just expand onto. That be change into become so good that your friends have to get to know you all over again, right? So
Yes.
that you're like, oh,
Yeah.
who is this? This is a new Zishan. What do you do now? I like
Hmm.
this. I like your haircut now. And I was like, obviously you're not doing it for those reasons, but they're getting to know you all over again, right? Okay,
Yeah.
tell me what you're doing. And
Yeah.
I love that, that kind of resonated with when you were sharing your spiritual wellness thing. Is it's like, okay,
Hmm.
be what kind of vibration, what kind of flow that you
Yeah.
need to be in, right?
Yeah. You have to be more conscious and tapped in, tuned in and tapped into how you flow, where it's not on autopilot. I
Mm.
really think, and I've blogged and podcasted about this, the pandemic is a wake up call. It's not over. We're acting like it's over, but
Yeah.
it's not. And if we don't wake up, we will. I mean, I'm not going to make a prediction, but the cases are going up. They're not just going up just on GP. There are lessons that this pandemic brings that we're not listening to, we're not heeding. And there are a lot of people, on the other hand, that have awakened during this time. Some people have lost their jobs and realized that that wasn't what they really wanted to be doing anyway, that there was really something, they had a calling that they had been ignoring or they didn't have time for. So the pandemic has, uh, come to like break the norm. And, some people are clinging harder onto it, but there's a huge awakening that's also taking place on this planet. And the pandemic has helped to push that along. Quite,
I, 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 oh no,
you know,
I agree with you 100%. So it was kind of like a reset button for the world, right? Whilst we were in pandemic,
absolutely.
um, in England especially, anyway, you were seeing animals coming into towns and villages where they
Oh,
wouldn't
wow.
come in. They wouldn't come
Wow.
down to. And they were like roaming around and then go back to where they came from, because they wouldn't come down because it was always busy and packed and everything. I
Yeah.
know they talked about Venice. The water in Venice, the canal waters there, it became so clear that you can see below it.
Because
And
you
then
can
the
have the boats
dolphin,
going, ships going
yeah,
back and forth.
exactly. And the
I
dolphins
have
were in there.
right. I have a video that I took during the shutdown. And I live right not far from the Hudson River. I'm just on the other side of New York City. And my partner and I walked down there, and we were reveling in the quiet, in
Mm,
how still everything was. And the video that I took was just of the water. It was like I had never seen the Hudson River empty. It was empty. There were no ferries, there were no ships, there were no boats, nothing. And it was so still and quiet in an area that normally is, the din is so loud that you just get used to it because that's the way it is. But to be able to take in the quiet and the stillness was remarkable. And I really, really appreciated it, that
mm,
stillness, and I think that, you know, we have to do that for ourselves on a regular, no matter whether you have children or what. You have to make time for that kind of quiet and that kind of stillness because you cannot hear your inner guidance with all of the noise. You cannot hear. It's too loud. You have to take time to sit still. And this term meditation has taken this thing of, people think you have to sit in lotus like a pretzel and levitate on top of your cot, but meditation is really being in tune and present to whatever it is that you're doing. So if you are cooking, that's a meditation. If you are really focused on what you're doing and not thinking about, okay, when I'm done with this, I got to go pick up the baby, and then when I'm done with this, I got to do this, and blah, 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 blah.
mm.
But if you're actually taking in the scent of the spices you're adding, hearing the sound of the cutting as you cut onions or crying or whatever, it's that kind of presence that this is what the pandemic is calling for. This is one of the things one of the lessons that we can learn from this pandemic is really finding the time to be still on your own without it being a crisis to make you sit down for a minute.
And I love this, in this, and it just brought me when, when I was trying to find out and going through my journey there as well. I didn't know that I was already doing meditation. Apparently, that was meditation, and as you just mentioned as well, that meditation could be any forms. I was one of those who used to think that, oh, you need to sit down that way, and you need to be in an awkward position, and you need to sit
Yes.
still. But what I did, and I used to do it quite regularly, from a very young age, because I was heavily, well, I am very heavily into my music, so it would be headphones on in the dark room because I liked darkness quite a lot. So with dark room, put my headphones on, and I'll just sit, whether that's sit on my bed, sit on the sofa, wherever that is, wherever I found a quiet place where I know there'd be nobody walking in for at least an hour. Put my headphones on and I just sit. And what that usually used to do to me was just resets everything in my mind. If there was anything that was going wrong, it will bring it forward and I will acknowledge it and all that stuff. And now it was just resetting everything by the time. And that was another key for me to be happy the next day. I wasn't going into the next day with baggage that I come across quite a lot, often with other people. They come with the baggage of the day before, and you're like, oh, yesterday this one. Like, I've actually never actually complained about yesterday. Never. I'm like, I'm here today. I'm here today. If
You're strange.
No, I've heard that loads of times. That's what I'm saying.
No, I think it's fantastic. It's fantastic. It really is.
Because, well, that's gone, right? So I'm the first person that goes, well, that's gone. It's happened. We're not going to do that next time if the situation presents itself. But knowing myself, the situation will not present itself because I've acknowledged it and I'm aware of it. So I would not come across that situation anymore because it's been come and gone, right? It's like I love driving a lot as well. So if I'm driving, I'm not going to take the same road again if I found out that that road has potholes on it, right?
Yeah.
I'm not going to take that road again. So that situation is never going to happen again. Maybe I might take that road if I now know the road's been repaired, right? So that's for me to find out, right? For me to find out and or not. So this is something that I didn't know that I was that kind of person doing all these things. I just thought, everybody did that. Like, no, everybody. And hence now I see why some people struggle to, well, I say struggle now, isn't it? That some people were challenged with my outcome.
No, they struggle. They struggle.
Yeah, well, that
you
word,
can use that word
if
you're not using it. So, if you're not using it for yourself, you can use that word because it's the way people respond. If you are basically like a happy person and you basically can see the good things, that is a challenge for people, and people do struggle with that because they don't come across it that often. Most people complain about stuff and they are so stuck in the problem and they're not necessarily looking for the solution, even though they say they are. If you present a solution to them, they knock it down. Nah, that's not going to work because blah, 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 blah. Well, did you try it? No, but I know that's not going to work. So that's how a lot of people operate. And what you were saying made me, a friend of mine came to mind in Colombia. He's just joy. Like if I had to pick one word to describe him, it would be joy. That's who he is. And I remember I was outside the studio and he and I were talking and a faculty member came up and I almost didn't believe what I was saying because he looked at my friend and he growled, "Are you always in such a good mood?" And he stormed off. And we just stood there for a minute. It was like a tornado had come through momentarily because he was so annoyed at this person who is always joyful. Does he have pain?
Mm,
Yes, he has pain. Are there things that affect him? Yes, there are things that affect him, but he doesn't allow it to change who he is or direct who he is, you know, and a lot of people don't understand that you can shift into that headspace, but you have to want to.
yeah,
And you have to
exactly.
understand that it's possible.
Agreed, agreed. Exactly. You know, it's a case of choosing not to be directed
Yeah.
by that side of the world to get you to do things, right? That is not the reality. You know, like if you look around the world, there is all these happiness going on and all these sadness as well, right? If you're
Right.
able to fix the sadness, right, let's all go for it. Let's fix the sadness. But if you're not able to fix the sadness, then
Right.
you know that the happiness is there as well. They will
Yes.
both go with you. Which
Yes.
angle? That you know, you just reminded me. This is actually so beautiful. I was on vacation in Spain 2 weeks ago. On the way to the airport, I was sitting on the left hand side, and my daughter's on the right hand side. So on the right was the beautiful sea, looking right, and on my side was just hills and mountains and all that stuff. So I am enjoying those hills and mountains because I'm looking at the houses and all that stuff. And my daughter went, "Oh wow, look at that boat going past!" And I looked around there. I'm like, "Oh wow, your view is like amazing. What am I what am I looking at here?" And then you know, it's like, but because I was just like looking out my window as you do normally, and I am still finding happiness in that. I'm looking around and all that stuff. I'm enjoying it. I'm not just saying, "Oh man, I'm just looking at mountains," but I was looking
Right.
at what the mountains are. But then I turned around when she said that, I'm like, "Well, this is actually a brilliant." Over there, I should just continue looking into it. But then I was like, no, this is actually good as well because I was more
Mhm.
paying attention to how they make those houses up on those hills. Like
Wow.
how long. I'm just looking at into those things, and I'm looking how long will that person takes to go up, even though if it's driving,
Right.
because there were some houses were in a weird inclined positions. I'm like, so I am
Right.
also with the scenery that's been projected to me, looking at positivity and thinking into it. I'm not just going,
Right.
well, I'm just looking at mountains, it's rubbish,
Yes.
you know. And that's the choice
Yeah.
that you make, and that's where I was coming to. It's a choice that you make what to
Yes.
do with what's been presented to you, right?
Yes.
I always use the analogy of what will you do? What kind of person are you if you get locked out of your house? We all been locked out of our house at one point, right? When the keys are still inside, or and what would you do? Are you the person that just panics now and doesn't know
Right.
what to do? Well, nowadays we have mobile phones. Imagine if the phones were also in the house. You've just came out
Right.
with your trash to put in the trash can, and you're like, oh no, the doors are shut.
Yeah.
Well, what kind of person are you at that time? And that will give you insight on how you operate. Uh,
Exactly. Exactly. I've been in situations like I've been stuck on an elevator and had to calm down the person in the elevator because she was
oh,
freaking out. I've been on airplanes that the turbulence was like, okay, we're dying, and I had to calm the person next to me, even though I was just as scared. But it is, as you said, a choice. Even though a lot of people feel I don't have a choice. You know how many times do you hear people say that? I have no
mm,
choice. I have no choice. Those are three words. Yeah, three words that should be stricken from everybody's vocabulary. I have no choice. You always have a choice. You may not like your choices at the present moment, but there are choices. And if you get into that mindset of knowing, yes, I have a choice, even if, like I said, it may be two things that you don't like, well, pick one of them and then figure out how you can make that choice pay off for you in dividends down the line. And it still has to do with your perspective, how you're viewing this. Everything is temporary. Everything is temporary. So how can you manipulate the situation or
mm,
shift the situation? And it's not the situation you're shifting. You're shifting your perspective Because when you shift your perspective, ultimately the situation shifts because you're viewing it differently. You know, I've had a landlord for a lot of years, and we did not get along at all. And we fought for most of the time that I've lived here. And then one day I went, I'm really tired of fighting. I'm really tired of how I feel every time I know he's coming or I get a text and then I'm like, "Grr." You know, I was like, you know, I don't want to feel like that. That's not me. That's not who I am. That's not who I want to be. So I started changing how I responded to him. Because he didn't speak. He'd come over if he had to do a repair and he wouldn't speak. He'd just come in. So I started speaking. And he still wouldn't speak. But I kept speaking. And then one day he went, hi. Or hello. He went, hello. I'm like, okay. And then another time he said hello. I had asked how he was doing. He said, fine. Another time, hello. How are you doing? Fine. One day he said, how are you doing? I almost passed out. And over time, that contentious relationship began to shift. Now he's the same blank that he's always been. He hasn't changed his personality, even though I have to amend that. He has shifted over time with some age and some things that have happened to him. He's kind of mellowed a little bit, but our rapport is completely different to what it used to be. And what changed it? How I decided to deal with it. That's how much power we have. That's how much freaking power we have. And that is part of my message as well, is how are you, we are all powerful beings, whether you feel like you're powerful or not. You are a powerful being. How do you intend to use your power? Are you going to just give it to somebody and be helpless and I can't control anything and it's not my fault and I have no choice? You can do that. You can do that. Or you can say, yeah, I have a choice. I may not like it, as I said earlier, but I'm going to make a decision. And when I make that decision, the decision is with the intention of shifting my situation. And it works. It may not work as soon as you say it, but there's also that thing of patience that a lot of us don't have either. And in this day and age of everything being at our fingertips and cell phones and devices and all of this, the patience that we would have cultivated, we got to figure out how to cultivate it another way. Because tempers are short. People don't want to listen to, like, really listen. You want to get your point out before the other person finishes. You know, all of these ways that we cut each other off, we do that also to ourselves. You know, you want to change how you eat, but you won't give yourself the patience, the time, the opportunity to let that sink in of changing how you eat. You want instant gratification. And after that week, if it doesn't go the way you want it, you want to dump it. And that's also one of the messages of the pandemic is patience. Patience, patience, patience. That's part of why it's still around, because we have not cultivated as a global society the care about each other, the care about ourselves, the patience, the acceptance. Acceptance does not mean you like something. It just means that you understand that this is the way it is right now. Because when you can accept something, like you said earlier about feeling when you were depressed and being able to accept that, yes, this is how I'm feeling, but I also know I can change this. Mm-hmm. That's what comes with acceptance. Understanding that this is the way this is, I'm going to stop pushing against it, but I know there's a solution or solutions. Those are some of the messages of the pandemic that we are still not quite understanding. We're looking at it from a victimization kind of situation. And it's really about us working together and being patient with each other, being patient with ourselves and the process.
Definitely, I agree there 100%. It's a process, so we all need
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
find what works for you, right? Everybody has different ways of doing things,
Yeah.
and hence we
Yeah.
are all individuals, right? We all come with our own DNAs, which mean we'll have our own process of doing certain things. What works for me might not work for you,
Right.
but it might work for somebody else. But yeah, so it's all there. You you take what works for you. So which also means, which I heard there, you have to go through some trials and error, because you need to try before you know, oh yeah, this actually works
Yeah.
for me. I'm going to run with this and enhance it over time, make it mine, as the
Yeah.
key word there, make it yours, make it mine, so that it
Hmm.
is for me, and that's the message that should be going out, find your process of
Yeah.
whatever that is. So even if it's spiritual wellness, it's still
Hmm.
personal to you. How do you take
Absolutely.
that wellness, right? What wellness defines you, right? Is that just sitting outside in your backyard
Right.
for 10 minutes? Is that taking the walk? Is that going on a drive?
Hmm.
In my case, that is driving, sitting in the back garden, looking up at the sky. This is quite a way different
Yeah.
ways that I've found myself, that I can tune into it.
Yeah.
And that's why I say to people, I say, have you tried these things? And then find that process that works for you, right? Create that. Certain things you might have to create, borrow from other
Right.
people that you've been listening to, right? And they've shared it. Um,
Hmm.
Success leaves clues. It's all around you. All the answers
Yes.
are out there. It's all around us. The answers are there. We're just not looking at it, right?
Right.
We are looking. We're not looking at it because we're like, it can't be that simple.
Right.
It can't be like this. Which brings me to that question of to you now. Like, obviously you've been doing all these things. Is there a ritual or a routine that you follow, when you wake up and before going to bed, or during the day,
Mm.
which you do it, no matter what's happening, you have to do that? Is there a certain thing that keeps you grounded with that?
I don't have a ritual in the sense of doing something before I go to bed or doing something when I wake up. I find that the more I can be in tune with what I'm thinking defines how I sleep and how I wake up. So if I'm grasping or grappling with an issue, I plan to be mindful enough to go, okay, your mind is spinning. You're spinning and chewing like a dog with a bone on this particular challenge. I find that when I am more aware of what I'm thinking in the course of a day, that's what grounds me. That's what helps me stay grounded or connect or reconnect to being grounded, is when I can tune in more to, what I'm thinking, and also how I'm feeling. If I'm a little irritable, I'll go, okay, you're a little irritable. What's happening? And then I'll have to, maybe I don't know right away. And I'll have to kind of play back some things that happened in the course of the day or even the day before, maybe a conversation I had, and then realize, you're still chewing on that. So let's just let it go.
Mm.
Those are the things I find that help me in the course of the day, as opposed to getting up and meditating and then I get off the mat and all of that meditation just stays there on the mat. I find that, meditation, mindfulness, awareness, all of these things are moment to moment. So when I find myself, when I realize, like sometimes I'll realize, Miss Thing, you just did a whole bunch of stuff and you don't even know what you did because you weren't paying attention.
Mm.
That's my grounding routine of looking to be more mindful of what it is that I'm doing or what it is that I'm thinking. Particularly, I could be, sometimes I'm on the yoga mat and I'll realize that my mind was thinking about something and I wasn't paying attention to really breathing, or I wasn't really paying attention to the pose or the transition or any of that. So that's my practice in terms of staying grounded and centered. It's just tuning in more with my thoughts.
I love that. It's so beautiful in terms of So what I also heard there was you're also taking stock of yourself, right? So you're like,
Yeah,
what's happening here now?
yes,
You're more aware of the day, which then
yeah,
gets you to take stock, look in within, and say, okay,
hmm,
why has this happened here? Let's
yeah,
able to pause and gather everything down and see
hmm,
what's still you're holding on to and needed to
yes,
let go, or is there something that still needs to figure something out, because is that something
exactly.
that needs to continue? And I love that, because we are in the fast paced world. A lot of people just don't take stock, don't look within and stop and see, okay, do I need to
Hmm.
let go of certain things or continue with
Yeah,
it? And it becomes heavier and heavier and heavier. I love that you shared that.
exactly.
Uh, so
That's how you end up having a breakdown because you haven't
exactly.
paid attention. And then, like you said, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and then you just fall apart because you haven't been soul searching. You haven't been in tune with what is going on with you. You've been basically an absentee landlord. So, yeah, that's it's constant. It's not something. It's not one and done. Life
Mm,
is constant in the sense of, you used the term leveling up earlier. In the process, you are always leveling up if you're conscious.
mhm. I love this, and it just also reminded me of, as I love driving. As you said, it's constantly evolution, right? So as
Hmm.
for, let's say, driving wise, you reach to a destination, you stop, you come out, you get back into it, and then you go to the next destination. Then you go, you drive around, and there comes a point that your car goes, hey, I need fuel now, or I'm running low, and you're like, you have to detour yourself to a fueling station and
Hmm.
fill it up, right? But that
Yes.
what is that? That's taking stock. That's gathering yourself back again. Whilst you're there, you
Hmm.
might, like, use the facilities, whatever you need to do. And that
Right.
is you relaxing yourself, and then you're back on the road again, wherever you were heading to, whatever that
Hmm.
destination is, right? But uh, driving also teaches us so many things that if you pay attention to it, it's already as what you people are doing normally in life. Is you get into the driver's seat, you are going on to that
Right.
journey. Now you can also let other drivers dictate how your journey is going to be, or you
Mm.
can just let yourself dictate how this journey from point A to point B is going to be, because I'm going to be in my zone, drive and pay
Yes.
attention. Obviously,
Yes.
don't just drive, pay attention, and be at my destination. The drivers around me can do whatever they can, because sometimes they cut you up and all that stuff. That, whatever, sometimes when that happens to me, I just say, oh well, hopefully you get there wherever you're going to.
Oh,
I
wow.
just say that to when I'm driving. I'm like, yeah, well, I'm not in a rush to get to wherever I'm heading. I planned ahead, so maybe you need to, you wanted to meet a deadline. Maybe you're going to a sick person. I don't know, whatever that is. So
Mm.
hopefully you reach. Hopefully you
That's
reach your
beautiful.
destination. Yeah,
That
and
that's
so,
beautiful.
but this is me saying to myself and acknowledging it, right? And getting continuing it, because I am on the driver's seat. That means I am telling how this journey is going to end. At the end, I'm going to come to my destination with
Hmm.
a peaceful, calm mind, not saying, "Oh man, my journey was rubbish and this and that." Because I hear that a lot. A lot of people, traffic
Hmm.
is hell. Like,
Right.
well, traffic is only hell if you make it to B. It's just traffic at the end of the day, because everybody is trying to
Hmm.
get to that point B at the end. How you get there is your decision at the end.
Yeah.
You know that this road will have traffic. Are you willing to take the longer route? Do you have the patience for it? As we talked about earlier, right? Patience. Do you want to take the longer route? You can, but you still chose to go onto that highway or motorway, whatever that was, which at certain
Hmm.
point is busy. So
Yes.
we just have to deal with it. we just have to deal with it. That was the choice we made, right? We just deal with it.
Yeah.
In my case, I just blast out the music and I zone out. And I try to read number plates of the cars, to keep myself excited. I'm like, oh, what does that mean? Like, well, he's got bumper stickers. What is that? To entertain myself.
Oh, but
So
that's
you need to
that.
find ways.
But that's that playful, childlike energy when you can do that,
Exactly.
when you can actually go, okay, this is where I am. Where can I find some fun? Okay, I'm gonna look over here. So that's a great way to be. It just lightens your journey to so much, and it also is contagious. Like bad moods are contagious until it hits somebody who doesn't allow it to be a bad contagious. They're like, I'm not catching
Mm.
that. And good moods are the same way, unless a person decides, I just don't want to be in a good mood. But they don't realize that that's the choice they're making. They just want to be ornery, so they're going to just be ornery when they have an
E-
opportunity to not be ornery because somebody that they're talking to is in a really great mood or just great energy, and uh, that's infectious if you allow it.
And exactly, 100%. I agree with you there. Oh, I would like to say thank you very much for coming on to Tuesday Talks. It's been literally 60 minutes that we've been talking now, it's been an amazing flow. You say it's been great. There's been so many good aha moments for the listeners to take away. I am sure 100%. I had few aha moments that when you shared something, you brought back a lot of things I have been thinking of as well. So it's great. Everybody who's been listening to us now on Instagram Live, this will also be left there as an episode, and in time it will also move on to podcasts and be available to wherever
Awesome.
you listen to your podcast from. It will be available there. So to anybody who's not listening to this or watching this live as well, what I'm going to ask is if you had a aha moment or inspiration or a spark, right, by listening to this conversation here now, it's your duty now to then share this with somebody else, tag somebody else, or send them the video to watch it, because it's our duty to not keep that spark and inspiration within us. It's to share with whomever that pops up in your mind, or you're thinking, oh no, I need to share this with someone. Just share it. The reason is we all need is that spark to start that engine of the person to do that, because we don't know who's just woken up or gone to bed thinking of a
Mhm.
better day, right? We don't know. And if you had that aha moment, you had that spark, we just need to give that spark to somebody else. Pay it forward, give that spark, because it might just start their engine. If they've been sitting on something to do, or if they're waiting to head to the beach, they might head to the beach now, right? So we never know. Whatever their destination is, it might just start their car and they might be on their way to that destination. So I will ask everybody to do that. And also, thank you very much, Jacquie, also for coming on and sharing such an amazing journey. As we're wrapping this up, what would you like to say to the audience who've been listening to today?
Well, first of all, I'm gonna thank you. Thank you for having me and spending your time with me. To our listeners, the most important thing in life, according to me, is feeling good. Because when you feel good, you want to give more. And when you feel good, you receive more. Identify the things that make you feel good and go for it.
I love that. I love that. Identify the things that make you feel good and go for it. I might even steal that as a title for this episode when it goes on to the podcast phase. So yeah, keep an eye on that. That's brilliant. I love that. And thank you very much, Jacquie, again for hopping on and sharing amazing insight of your journey with
Thank
all of
you.
us. Um, and everybody else, if you're next Tuesday, we'll be back again with another amazing entrepreneur soul and get to hear their journey. So thank you everybody for being here as well. Thank you very much, Jacquie, as well.
Thank
Bye
you.
bye.
Bye.